Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to do a deep dive on ABLE accounts.
Oh, yeah, this is a good one. I'm excited to talk about these.
I think a lot of people might be surprised to learn that there's actually a way for people with disabilities to save money
Yeah,
without it jeopardizing their benefits, their SSI, their
Yeah.
Medicaid.
right. And not just like a tiny bit. We're talking about potentially saving in, tens of thousands of dollars.
Right? Like serious money, and it's all thanks to these ABLE accounts.
Exactly. And you know what's really great about these accounts? They help people build a better financial future, a brighter future, without that constant worry of hitting that asset limit.
Right. It's like finally a system that works for them instead of against them.
You got it.
In fact, I was reading about this guy named Paul Safarik.
Okay.
He's 32 years old, has Down syndrome, and he uses his ABLE account to work and save and buy things he wants, like a treadmill, and contribute to his braces,
Wow.
all without, that fear of losing his benefits.
His story really shows just how much of an impact these accounts can have. It's about real financial independence, not just getting by.
Okay, I'm hooked. I need to know more. So tell me, when did these ABLE accounts even become a thing?
Well, it all goes back to the Achieving a Better Life Experience Act,
Okay.
which is also called the ABLE Act.
Okay.
And that was back in 2014, but it took a while to actually roll out. But by 2016, ABLE accounts were officially a thing.
So who's actually eligible to open an ABLE account right now?
Well, right now it's for people with disabilities that were diagnosed before they turned 26.
Okay.
But here's the thing, get this, that age limit is going to be expanded to 46 in 2026.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that means potentially millions more people will be able to access these accounts.
That's huge.
Yeah, it's a game changer, especially for people who maybe got a disability later in life.
Yeah, for sure.
And even with the current age limit, we think that something like 8 million people already qualify.
Oh.
So you mentioned earlier that ABLE accounts really change how people with disabilities can approach saving.
Right.
Can you talk more about that?
Yeah. So what's the deal with that?
Well, you see, there's this, kind of a myth that if you save up too much money, you're going to get disqualified from benefits. It's like you're stuck, between being financially stable and getting the support you need.
Right. Like you're being punished for trying to be responsible.
Exactly. And ABLE accounts are trying to get rid of that barrier.
So how much can someone actually save in an ABLE account without, it affecting their benefits?
Generally, you can save up to $100,000
Okay.
without it affecting your SSI.
Good.
But it's important to know that there are lifetime balance limits that are different in each state.
Wait, did you say state limits?
Yeah, so ABLE accounts are managed by state treasurers.
Okay.
And each state has its own lifetime limit, which can be anywhere from $300,000 to over $500,000.
Wow, that's a big difference. So let's say someone's listening and they're like, hey, I think I might actually be eligible for this.
Yeah.
What do they need to do to open an ABLE account?
Oh, it's really not bad at all. Most of the time, you can just do it online.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just go to your state treasurer's website and you'll find everything you need, like the forms and stuff.
Okay.
Some states even have paper applications if you prefer doing it the old-fashioned way.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
What about contributing to the account? Are there limits on how much you can put in each year?
Yeah, there are some limits, but they're pretty generous. In 2025, anyone,
Right,
like the person with the account, their family, friends, even organizations, can contribute up to $19,000.
Okay, that's not bad at all. What if the person with the ABLE account is also working? Can they contribute more on top of that?
Oh, for sure. If they're working and not contributing to a retirement plan at work, they can add an amount equal to their gross income for the year.
Okay.
So depending on where they live and how much they make, they could actually put in another $15,560 to $18,810 on top of that $19,000.
Wow. So they could really build a nice little nest egg there. Now I have to ask about taxes.
Yeah.
How do those work with ABLE accounts?
Okay, so here's another awesome perk. Any investment earnings in an ABLE account are totally tax-free,
Oh, wow.
as long as the money you take out is used for what are called qualified disability expenses.
Okay, I'm curious what kinds of things count as qualified disability expenses?
It's a pretty wide range. Basic stuff like medical bills, education, job training, assistive technology, but it also covers things that help the person live a more independent life,
Okay.
like transportation or even fun activities that help them be healthier.
So it's not just about, getting by, it's about having a good life.
Yeah, exactly.
I like that. So what if someone doesn't want to invest the money in their ABLE account? Can they just keep it in there?
Oh, totally. They have the choice to invest or just keep the money in the account without investing.
Okay.
It all depends on what they need and what their goals are.
This is all sounding amazing. Is there a catch? What's the biggest challenge with these ABLE accounts?
Honestly, the accounts themselves work pretty well, but the real problem is that a lot of people just don't know about them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a lot of people who could really benefit from them have no idea they exist.
You're right. I think people just assume that if they save any money, they'll automatically lose their benefits.
Yeah, exactly. And Daniel Elliott, the Indiana State Treasurer, he talks about this a lot. He says that this lack of awareness is a huge problem.
So are you saying that even though ABLE accounts are awesome, not many people are actually using them?
That's exactly what I'm saying.
So it's like this incredible resource that's just sitting there untapped.
Exactly. It's kind of heartbreaking when you think about the difference they could make for people.
So what kind of numbers are we talking about here? Like how many people actually have ABLE accounts?
Well, the National Association of State Treasurers, they said that at the end of 2024, there were only around 186,641 ABLE accounts in the whole country.
Wow.
Remember we said that like 8 million people are probably eligible?
Yeah, that's a huge gap.
It is, and it's like a missed opportunity. So why do you think so few people know about them?
Right.
Well, part of it is that the eligibility is about to expand, right?
Oh.
That age limit going up to 46 next year, that's great news. But it also means a whole bunch of new people are suddenly going to be eligible, and a lot of them might not even know what an ABLE account is.
Right. It's like a whole new world of financial planning that they didn't even know existed before.
Exactly. Especially if you're someone who maybe had an accident or got diagnosed with long COVID and now suddenly have a disability.
Yeah, that makes sense. And this actually leads into something really interesting that Andrew Warren calls an information disconnect.
Oh, yeah. Tell me more about that.
So he's a researcher at the Financial Health Network.
Okay.
And he studies how Americans with disabilities manage their finances.
Oh.
And what he's found is that there's this big communication gap between the people who help individuals with disabilities, like social workers and case managers.
Right.
And the people who actually run the ABLE accounts.
So you're saying that the people who could benefit the most from ABLE accounts aren't even being told about them by the people they trust for help?
That's what it seems like. His team actually published a report back in 2023, and they found that less than 1% of people who are eligible actually had ABLE accounts.
Wow.
And they specifically said that these asset limits are a huge barrier for people with disabilities.
Right.
Which just shows how important ABLE accounts could be in helping people overcome that barrier.
Yeah, absolutely.
So for our listeners out there who are thinking, hold on, I might be eligible next year when that age limit changes, what can they do right now to prepare?
That's a great question. I would say just start familiarizing yourself with how to open an ABLE account.
Okay.
There are some great resources out there like Able Today and the Able National Resource Center. They have tons of info on their websites.
So step one, do your research. What's next?
If it makes sense for your situation, if it aligns with your financial goals, start putting some money aside specifically for contributions.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, anyone can contribute. So even if you can't put in the whole amount yourself, family and friends can help you reach that $19,000 limit.
Okay.
The sooner you start, the more prepared you'll be.
That's great advice. Now, before we move on, let's just do a quick recap on who's actually eligible for an ABLE account right now.
Okay, so right now it's for people whose disability started before they turned 26.
Okay.
And we're talking about disabilities that are either going to last a long time or are terminal, meaning they're expected to last for at least a year.
Uh-huh.
And the disability needs to be what they call marked and severe functional limitations.
So it's not just about having a diagnosis on paper. It's about how it affects your everyday life.
You got it. And how do you prove you're eligible? Well, you either need to be already getting SSI or SSDI because of your disability or have a doctor's diagnosis that confirms it.
Gotcha. So that's right now. But we keep talking about this big change coming in 2026. What exactly will be different then?
The main thing is that age limit. Right now it's 26, but starting in 2026, anyone whose disability started before they turn 46 will be eligible.
Okay.
So think about it. Imagine you're 75 or 40 years old, you get diagnosed with a disability, and you think, well, there goes my chance to save for the future. ABLE accounts change all that.
This is so interesting. With all these positive changes, I'm curious about where you see ABLE accounts going in the future. What do you think will happen in the next few years?
That is a great question. Yeah, it really is exciting to think about. As more and more people learn about these accounts and with the eligibility expanding, I think we're going to see a lot more people opening them.
Yeah, I think so too. Those numbers we were talking about, low adoption rates, even though so many people qualify.
Yeah.
I bet we'll see that change pretty drastically.
I agree. And it makes you wonder, as more people start using ABLE accounts, do you think the accounts themselves might change?
That's a really interesting question. What do you think?
Well, when demand goes up, it often leads to new ideas and improvements. We might start to see more specific types of ABLE accounts, maybe ones that are designed for certain age groups or, different kinds of disabilities.
Oh, like tailored ABL accounts? That's a cool idea.
Yeah, exactly. Or imagine if ABLE accounts were integrated with financial planning tools, so it'd be even easier for people to manage their money, like all in one place.
Yeah, that would be amazing. It sounds like ABLE accounts could become like a central hub for how people with disabilities manage their finances.
I think you're right. And there's also some movement towards connecting ABLE accounts with other systems, like the ones used by social services and disability advocacy groups.
Oh, okay. So like a more streamlined system.
Yeah, exactly. That way it would be easier to connect people with the help they need and make it even smoother to open an account.
It sounds like everyone wins with that kind of setup.
Exactly. But even with all this talk about the practical stuff, we can't forget about the human side of it. Every single ABLE account represents a person who now has the power to control their financial future, to dream bigger, and plan for a more secure life.
That's a powerful way to look at it. It's not just about numbers on a balance sheet. It's about real people and their hopes and dreams.
You said it. Now that we've had this chance to really understand ABLE accounts, how do you think we can all help spread the word and make sure that more people know about this great opportunity?
Yeah, that's a great question for all our listeners to think about. It feels like we've only just scratched the surface of what ABLE accounts can do.
Yeah.
We've learned about how they came to be with the ABLE Act back in 2014. We talked about who's eligible, how much people can contribute, and even looked ahead to the future of ABLE accounts with all the exciting innovations and the expansion of eligibility.
It's been a fascinating journey for sure. From those early days to where we are now, it's clear that ABLE accounts are making a positive difference in people's lives.
I couldn't agree more. If any of our listeners want to learn more, we definitely recommend checking out ABLE Today and the ABLE National Resource Center. They have some really informative websites.
Oh, those are great resources. Knowledge is power, and by sharing what we've learned today, we can help even more people with disabilities achieve their financial goals.
Well said. As we're wrapping up our deep dive into ABLE accounts, something that really sticks with me is how powerful it is to give people financial independence. It's not just about saving money, it's about transforming lives and whole communities.
And it's fascinating to think about how ABLE accounts can unleash potential that might have otherwise been held back. Imagine someone with a disability who wants to start their own business, but they're worried about losing their benefits.
Yeah, it's like the system is holding them back from trying to improve their lives.
That's exactly it. ABLE accounts can give people that financial security and stability they need to, take risks, follow their passions, and contribute to the economy in meaningful ways.
And when people with disabilities are financially empowered, they can really participate in society, and that benefits everyone.
Absolutely.
We see more innovation, a more diverse workforce, and just stronger communities all around.
It's a chain reaction of positive change, all starting with this one financial tool. It really shows you how much of an impact good policies can have.
So is there something that most people don't know about ABLE accounts that you think they really should?
I think a lot of people have this idea that ABLE accounts are only for basic necessities, like paying for medical bills or housing.
Yeah.
But the truth is, what they consider qualified disability expenses is much broader than people realize.
Right. So it's not just about surviving, it's about actually living a good life.
Exactly. You can use money from your ABLE account for things like transportation assistive, technology, education, and even recreational activities that improve your health and well-being.
Yeah. It's like you said earlier, it's about creating a fulfilling life, not just covering the bare minimum.
Exactly. It really changes how we think about it. So as we finish up here, I want to circle back to that thought-provoking question you asked earlier.
Okay.
Now that we have a better understanding of ABLE accounts, what can we each do to spread the word and help make this resource even more impactful?
That's a question I hope all of our listeners are asking themselves too. So what can we do?
I think it starts with just talking about it. Share what you've learned about ABLE accounts with your family, friends, coworkers. You never know who might need this information.
Right. And don't underestimate the power of social media. Sharing resources, articles, starting conversations online can reach so many people.
Absolutely. It's about being an advocate, not just a bystander. If you know someone who might be eligible, encourage them to check out ABLE accounts and what they can offer. Help them find resources and navigate the process. Every voice matters. And together we can make financial empowerment a reality for everyone, regardless of their abilities.
I love that. You've given us so much to think about today. It's really inspiring to know that we can all make a difference.
It's been a pleasure being part of this deep dive. Remember, you now have this valuable knowledge that can truly change lives. Go out there, spread the word, and let's make a positive impact together.
Well said. Until next time, keep learning and keep exploring. It's amazing, isn't it? As we wrap up this look at ABLE accounts, it really hits you that this is so much more than just personal finances.
It really does feel like a bigger conversation, like changing the whole way we think about disability and being financially independent.
Yeah, totally. We've talked about those individual stories, like Paul Safarik.
Yeah.
But what about the bigger picture? What kind of impact can ABLE accounts have on society as a whole?
Well, let's think about it on a broader scale. When people with disabilities can save and invest, it creates more financial stability for their families, right?
Right, and that's just the beginning. I bet that stability has a ripple effect.
Exactly. It can lead to more people with disabilities joining the workforce, starting businesses, and boosting local economies. It's about building a society where everyone has a chance to contribute and succeed no matter what.
I love that. It's about seeing the potential in every single person and giving them the tools to make it happen.
You've got it. ABLE accounts aren't just about money. They're a way to create real social change.
So if you could sum it up, what's the one thing you hope our listeners take away from this conversation?
I hope they walk away feeling hopeful and like anything is possible. ABLE accounts can help build a world that's more inclusive and fair. And the best part is we can all be part of that change.
That's a great message to end on. So as we wrap up this deep dive, let's give our listeners some concrete steps they can take.
Absolutely. First and foremost, spread the word. Tell everyone you know about ABLE accounts. You never know whose life you might change with this information.
And if you're feeling really inspired, think about supporting organizations that are fighting for financial inclusion for people with disabilities.
Those are fantastic ideas. Remember, even the smallest actions can have a big impact and help create a more just and equitable society for everyone.
Well said. It's been amazing having you here to talk about ABLE accounts. We've learned so much, and I hope everyone listening feels ready to make a difference.
It's been a pleasure. And to everyone out there, keep learning, keep exploring, and keep making the world a better place.
That's all for today's show. Thanks for joining us.